Hi, how are you? My name is Houston and welcome back to another video. Really repping the union today with the Pape hat. I'm actually surprised it has taken me so long to get one of these hats, but the company I work for recently bought a paver and I was like, hey man, because some Pape guys delivered it. Yo, dude, you got any hats? He's like, dude, I got so many hats. I'm trying to get rid of them. And I'm like, finally, I can get a Pape hat. See, John Deere. Hell yeah. John Deere equipment is, it's up there for me, John Deere and Hitachi. Since working at the latest company that I've worked for, about the past 2 years or so, most of their machines are Komatsu's and they're kind of growing on me. They're not cats. I think cats are probably the best machines, like bang for your buck, power, all that. But there's just something about the Komatsu's that's like a perfect blend of like a John Deere and a cat. The last company I worked at had majority Volvo machines, and you want to talk about some machines that take some getting used to, those are it. If you're also a heavy equipment operator, then you know what I'm talking about. Those things are probably the most sensitive and can be jerky machines on the market, but once you get used to them, they're nice. They're just fast. Here I am talking about heavy equipment though, when we're gonna be playing some more Call of Duty today. So here we are, back on Black Ops 6, and I think after only getting about 8 guns gold, this is taking a toll on my psyche. I want to say that I'm strong enough to keep doing this camo grind, but I just feel like I'm missing out on so many other games that I could be playing on my backlog. I'll be the first to point out that I did say at first that I really wanted to do this dark matter grind, but there's just something about it for me, kind of what I mentioned in the last video, how like I'm just not playing as much as I used to, where I feel like I should try and get some enjoyment out of the game and play it, but maybe it's not really in the cards for me to get the mastery camo. I certainly think it's possible for me to get it, but I just think that maybe it's going to take way longer than I initially thought, and thinking about that has made me just rethink even attempting to do it in general, because 8 out of 33 just sounds like almost no progress at all. I think we got a whole team of TTVs and I bet none of them are live. I have like 3 main games on my backlog right now that I've just been thinking about. One of them is a game that I started, and that's Lords of the Fallen. And if you are familiar with the release of that game, then you might know that it kind of released in a terrible fashion and in a way that was really not aligned with the expectations that many of us had for it. I think that I touched on this in a video closer to the release of the game, and I'm sure I said in that video something along those same lines. But with how many updates that have gone into that game in, God, was that a year ago? I'm pretty sure it came out October of last year. And if that's the case, this year has just flown by. I mean, that seems to be the case with like every single year. After you reach a certain age, it's almost like time just keeps going faster and faster, which is why I think it's more and more important in those moments to appreciate the time that you have with the people you love. Anyway, as I was saying, there have been so many updates for Lords of the Fallen, including like so many of them that have just been straight up quality of life updates that address so many of the issues that I had with the game upon release, that I think it's really worth going back and seeing how it actually plays. Like, I've actually been thinking about restarting my playthrough because I really wasn't that far. The second game on the backlog is not just a single game, it's a whole series, and those are the Yakuza games. Obviously, those will take an incredible amount of discipline to get through, because I think there are like 8 of them at this point. But from what my friends tell me, I think it's only like 4 of them that are truly worth playing and that give you the full scope of the story that's offered. With Infinite Wealth, I believe, is the latest one being released. I just heard my friends and I watched them play it, and they just spoke so highly of it and seemed to be enjoying themselves. And with my recent obsession with the history of things like JRPGs, I swear to God, that guy was in a corner. I just feel like those are games that would really scratched that itch for me. Going along with that whole JRPG theme, the third game is Sea of Stars, which I'm actually not sure is a JRPG, but it very much looks inspired by those types of like turn-based games like Final Fantasy or like Golden Sun and those types of games. Dude, I was so close to nuking earlier. I was in like a massive flow state, and I'm pretty sure I was at like 28 or 29 kills, and I just died in the dumbest way. I choked. I got too nervous, and I just missed my shots on a guy that was like 10 feet away from me. It was bad. Definitely the closest I've gotten to a nuke, though, at least while going for camo challenges. I'm sure I could get one fairly easily if I was just specifically going for one. I feel like giving up on the dark matter grind is a bit antithetical to the things that I talk about on this channel, like having that grit, determination, always following through with what you say, etc. While this is just a video game, I get it. I think what really makes somebody a well-rounded and good functioning member of society is always doing what you say you're going to do and never backing down from that. So when you make a commitment, you stick to it no matter what. Honestly, me following through with this would also be another great example of the patience that I talked about in the other video. And speaking of that, I'm at a bit of a crossroads with my training. For some reason, my right leg has been hurting, and my right leg has never hurt. Not even during my 50-mile training did it hurt. But now, all of a sudden, as I'm working through the injury on my left leg, my right leg starts acting up. So you can imagine how, like, demoralizing that is for me as I'm going through my training with a coach that I, spent money on and all that stuff. I'm not going to lie and say that I feel completely okay, because it is really tough facing that and having to take a break from my training and like figure out a way through it. Like, is it stretching that I need to do? Is it strengthening exercises? Do I need to do a different form of cardio? Like, for the past 4 days, my cardio hasn't even been running. It's just been the stationary bike at the gym. While I'm not completely against the stationary bike, it just sucks not being able to run, because it almost feels like I'm not making any progress, even though it takes like 2 weeks for you to start to lose fitness. And at the end of the day, I don't mind being on the bike. So as long as I can do something and it's not hurting, then I think that's probably the most important thing. Like, that's the perspective that I should be having. And my coach is kind of reinforcing that in me as well. 30 minutes on the bike without any pain is definitely better than like forcing myself to keep doing my training and just never get out of this like injury canyon that I'm in. Like, I'm keep trying to climb myself out of this thing, but sometimes it's like you can't outwork it. Like, the more you try to work your way out of it, the more tired you get, and then you just keep following back down into that pit. I finally tried Area 99, by the way, or just Warzone in general on this game. It's interesting. Dude, it's crazy how the skill ceiling is so high now, or at least it feels so high. Like, I feel like if I want to stay good at this game, it's the only game I'm allowed to play. And the games that I normally associated that feeling with were games like Valorant or CS, where I'm like, oh, okay, I can't hop on. I mean, I can sometimes, but for the most part, it's more difficult to hop on and have some like casual games of Valorant or CS. I think a lot of people will blame something like that on skill-based matchmaking and how, oh, okay, well, you can't really like play as a casual anymore because the skill-based matchmaking forces you to try a lot harder, and then you just try and eventually you're going to get into lobbies with more people that just try. The slide to fire speed on this game is so shit. I know you could put an attachment on to speed it up, but I want MW 2019 back. On COD Twitter, they'd probably put me in the guillotine for saying that I think MW 2019 is one of the most pivotal Call of Duty games ever made. But hey, I mean, it's the truth. Pivotal doesn't always mean the best, but it definitely changed Call of Duty forever. Maybe I'm completely wrong on this, but I feel like one thing that contributes a lot to how sweaty gaming is now is also the fact that like everyone wants to be a content creator, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that people should, pursue whatever it is they want to pursue, and I just think that in the world that we live in, like, it's not worth not pursuing the things that you love, the things that you really want to do. Because obviously I'm also making videos. So that would be really stupid of me to tell other people to stop, or that it's you know, that it's not worth your time, or and all that. Kind of getting destroyed this game. Yeah, I'm like double negative. It's awesome. The inevitable end point, or a point on that progress bar of everyone wanting to make content, and especially people wanting to make content where, you know, they get the most kills, or they get the highest score, or they're the best, or, you know, whatever, pick your metric. Those people are always going to be trying way harder than everybody else, and in turn that's going to make everybody else try really hard, and so on and so forth. So I think that that is just the natural progression that we have found ourselves on with shooter games especially, but just online gaming in general. I mean, I've never played it before, but I'm sure this kind of skill, or this rise in competitiveness and just overall sweatiness, is probably present in a game like Rocket League too. Like, you got some people doing insane tech, doing like a, I don't know, like a triple barrel roll nonsense bullshit, whatever, in their mini Porsche. It's just crazy playing this game as a casual, and, you know, trying to hold my own. Multiplayer is not bad. Like, most of the time in multiplayer, I'm completely fine. But dude, when I'm playing Warzone, God, I know that Warzone selects for a different group of people, but man, I feel like an old man. I feel like I'm playing with my eyes closed, and my reflexes are being held back some by like some magical spell. It's just, I don't know if I would be as good as the younger people if I was maybe just committed to playing on controller instead of KBAM. But I do think that aim assist would probably help, but maybe I'm just not all there anymore. I'm just deteriorating. But hey, you know what? That's totally fine, because I'm an endurance athlete. So maybe if I can be decent at the whole fitness realm of things, then if I'm kind of mediocre or just average at FPS games, I think I'll take it. I'll take that trade. For my friends in the US, if you're celebrating Thanksgiving, then hope you enjoy that time with your family, your loved ones, or whoever you're with. Or if you're by yourself, maybe sit down and